much, Philip, for hosting. Tell me if you can't hear me. I'll try and be loud. So I'm literally just going to talk for a couple of minutes, as Matt asked, and just give you, I guess, my background and what I've done, because I have sat on both sides of the fence from an investor perspective and also from a founder perspective. And if there are any questions or if anyone wants to chat later, then I'm more than happy to have a conversation. So I founded my first business in 2002, and it was a consultancy. I was one of 4 co-founders, and it was a technical consultancy, and we had a desire to just do it slightly differently from the other ones in the market, be very customer focused, felt we had a vision that we could do something different, and spent 12 years growing that, and in the time did every job from kind of COO and looking after everything internally. So how do we recruit people, how do we retain people, because it was a time where the skills we wanted were hugely competitive to get, and so there's some fascinating challenges in doing that. And obviously, how did we kind of grow the business from a customer perspective? Did that for 12 years, and then kind of got to the point that I decided that actually doing B2B and selling to large businesses wasn't necessarily as motivating as it used to be, and I wanted to do something different. And conveniently managed to time that with having my 3rd child, so I went on maternity leave, and while I was on maternity leave, we sold the company. So we went through the kind of full end-to-end sales process, and I wasn't on the org chart, so I didn't want to go back, which was great, obviously from a personal perspective, but also the company was very much sold as a going concern, and still operates and has kind of carried on being successful. But I had some time to take a bit of breathing space and work out what was it I wanted to do and what was I kind of motivated by. And I did a bit of charity stuff, got involved in some trustee roles in that time, and then looked at what opportunities. And I was lucky enough to have a close friend who had an idea that I felt was kind of solving a real social problem, and also very interesting. 18 months ago we set up Amicable, and Amicable's vision is to help people going through divorce and separation, to do it in the most family-friendly and kind of best way for those who, especially when they're co-parents, to carry on and be able to parent their kids. So we aren't lawyers, and we're very much trying to disrupt the family law industry. We think we're the only people doing it this way, and actually the traction so far has been very interesting. We were in Metro today, which we're quite excited by, and we've had quite a lot of publicity over the last couple of months. So it's still relatively early stages, but we've done an SEIS investment round last year, and we're now looking at what we're doing for the next stage of investment. And from kind of me, the excitement of going from B2B and kind of growing business in that area, and then going really B2C, has just been a huge learning curve, which has been challenging at times, but very interesting. So that's kind of what I've done professionally. Because I was growing a business that was going to require some investment, I was very interested to see it from the other side as well. So I've also done angel investments in quite a few startups, and I kind of started up with very much anything that sounded vaguely interesting. But over the last year, over the last probably 6 months to a year, I've now realised that the investments that motivate me are very much those that have got that social purpose, as well as a kind of business model that you can see there's a future and they're going to make money. And it's that combination that I think is going to be the long-lasting ones for the future. Might not be the next Uber, next Airbnb, but actually if it's got that combination of social purpose and clear financial model, it becomes very interesting. So that's what I do. I guess 3 things I've learned that might be useful. I think, firstly, if you're starting a business, think who your co-founders are and make sure they're people you think you can work with on the long term. You might be running a business with them for years, even decades, and it can be a hugely stressful experience at times. So you need to know that you're going to get on, and that you have skills that complement each other. And I think that's really key. Secondly, and this is interesting, I think, in startup world over the last few years, because there's been so much focus on how raising money, etc. Actually, how you're going to make money as a business is so key. And I think sometimes there's a bit of a race that gets forgotten in the process of raising, and it has to be key because that's what leads to sustainable business. And thirdly, think very carefully about whether raising money and how you raise money is right for you. I had a conversation with a VC a few weeks ago, and we were talking about this, and they were saying there's very, very few businesses where VC funding is right. And actually any founder who's considering that should really think, does this business have the potential to be worth 100 million? And do they really think that they can take it to that point? And unless the answer is yes, then going down a full VC route is probably not the right thing. And so it's looking at other ways that you can get to profitability as quickly as possible, whether that's angels, whether that's social funds, etc. But think very carefully before you raise money.
Great. Thank you, Pip. Fabulous. Let's open the floor for questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this Amicable business that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Given that you sort of mentioned it as a sort of perhaps an alternative to the family law route.
Yes.
What are the sort of main approaches or methodologies you use? Do you employ counsellors or mediators? What's the basis of that sort of business? That's really interesting, I think.
So when we first started, we had a view that we were going to use technology, and technology would solve the problem. And in classic pivot fashion, we realised while we were beta testing that was never going to do it by itself to begin with, and that people going through what is an incredibly difficult time need help from other individuals. So we have an app which helps people communicate and collect all the information they need, but then we have divorce coaches, and so divorce coaches work with a couple, and that's where we think it's kind of a different model from what anyone else is doing. So lawyers legally can only work with one partner. So if one person goes to see a lawyer, their partner also goes to see a lawyer, and there's no way around that. That's how lawyers have to work. Mediators can work with both partners, but they're not supposed to particularly direct you. They're supposed to help you find your own solution. Where our divorce coaches sit is they can work with both partners, and they can provide advice and help to actually move the conversation forward. And so we use that model. So we have a kind of staged approach with divorce coaches where they have set meetings that they run through with different things being agreed in each meeting in order to kind of bring the process to the kind of conclusion as quickly as possible.
So, sorry, one more question, because I imagine they want to move on, but is that sort of in parallel ever with lawyers? I imagine if you've got two people who have agreed enough to meet a divorce coach together, that they're on some level of amicability already, or is that not necessarily the case?
Not always.
No, okay.
But they have to have the intention that they want to get through this in a relatively amicable way. So at that common point, they might really dislike the other person. We've got quite a few of those cases like that, but they know that ultimately it is better to do it this way than become a big fight.
Yeah, sure.
And also it's better that all money, or the majority of the cash, keeps within the family. So everything we do is fixed price and transparent fees, so you know upfront what you spend, and a lot cheaper than legal process. So it's about keeping money within the family.
Yeah, right, okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hi, you mentioned an interesting term there that I've not come across before, co-parenting.
Yeah.
With your answers to the last question, there was no really mention of children. Is there any sort of service or offering or support offered directly to children affected?
We don't. We can point people in the direction of organisations that can, but ultimately we help parents to focus on putting the kids at the centre of the discussion, with the view that they know their own kids best, and therefore if they're thinking of the kids rather than how can I maximise the money I get out of this,
Sure.
it's a better result.
But there's perhaps an issue around the kids don't even know what's going on. They've got no comprehension until 10, 15, 20 years later it hits them. Do you know what I mean? So, but you point them in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I mean, you say you're interested in businesses that have some sort of social purpose. I'm wondering how you see a distinction, if you see one at all, between a social enterprise and a business that has some kind of social element to it.
It's a really interesting question, and there's probably other people in the room that have an opinion on this, because I think it's very vague. What's a social enterprise and what is a business? I mean, and I struggle to see how you can grow a social enterprise unless it's totally backed by effectively grants and donations, in which case, isn't it a charity, and shouldn't you be a charity?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, my view is I'm interested in businesses that have a business model, but have a social purpose that goes in joint with those business models. And if you've not got a business model that has any hope of making money, then maybe you should be a charity. But that's my view. There's probably other people who have different views on that. I'm conscious of time.
No, that's fine. It's really interesting. I had questions, but they will have to wait till the end. Thanks, Pip. Was that answer everything?
Yeah.
We can do one more. We'll do one more. That's fine. Go for it.
I was just wondering, from both your investor side and your startup side, what is your view on crowdfunding to fund your business? Have you invested in them, and would you think about doing it from the startup side?
Yeah, no, it's an excellent question. I haven't invested in crowdfunding, mainly because it's always sometimes slightly opaque for what you're going to get in terms of equity and things with crowdfunding, and I've tended to do angel investments where you probably invest slightly more and you only invest in 4 or 5 companies a year. And I've chosen those companies when I've kind of met the founders and done the due diligence, which you don't really do with crowdfunding. Would we do it the other way around? We have talked about it. Maybe. I think it's easier if you've got a business that's got a big customer base. So some of the really successful crowdfunding stories are they've already got a few thousand customers, maybe only spending a really small amount, but they've got those customers to reach out. Because what we do is relatively low volume, high value. I'm not sure it's right for Amicable, but we haven't discounted it. And it definitely is some businesses where it's right for. And there's quite a few success stories.
Great. Thank you, Pip. Pip's going to be around. Let's join him.